The boats are rented by the city's Harbor Commission, and the profits are used in improvements and upkeep for the harbor and municipal waterfront developments. Waterfront safety regulations are enforced by the Commission to keep reckless helmsmen out of the harbor area. The commissioners are working to convert the entire docking and lakefront areas into park and picnic grounds. The natural attractions of the regions have already contributed to the immense popularity of Lake Pepin. Almost since the Civil War, when steam packets brought visitors up from the southern states and cities, Lake Pepin has inspired the admiration of tourists. Lake City is working to make itself a hospitality center for the voyagers and sightseers who stop at its shores. Boating, swimming, fishing fill up the long summer season. But by November or December, the freeze will set in, and the entire lake will be covered with ice from 18 to 24 inches thick. And if you like sailing, try it at 60 or 70 miles per hour on an ice boat if you'd like to have a real thrill. With a lake of this size and many powerful boats around you, you certainly could not get by without plenty of water skiing. Water skis are a comparatively recent invention. Of course, it's not most practical means of transportation, and the rider has to forsake some of the dryness and comfort which his companions in the boat can enjoy. But what fun it is to be out on the water, jumping and dodging the waves of the boat. There's a lot of horseback riding and golf at the Lake City Country Club. And if you are adventurous, those craggy hills make for a very good climbing area. The view from atop these hills, with the city spread out on the point, the lake stretching away to the north and south, bordered by the rich green hills, bluffs, and rolling farmlands, makes a beautiful sight to behold. The lake is just waiting with an abundance of pike, bass, and crappies. And if you're brave enough, you might fasten a pair of those bed slats on your feet and take a try at water skiing. Whatever your tastes are, summer or winter, Lake Pepin is the place to spend those idle moments. Excellent roads and quick transportation have helped to widen the popularity of the city as the vacation land. Bus service with direct routes from the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul and all points south brings visitors from as far as Chicago to enjoy the lake facilities. Most of the main transportation companies during the summer months add more time schedules in order to accommodate all of the tourists who go to the lake. If it be bus, rail, or automobile, access to Lake Pepin is one of the easiest in the country. During the years following the Civil War, passengers, freight, wheat, and lumber were brought to Lake City from all over the state for transportation to distant markets. A thriving grain market was built up in the city to handle the produce of the landlocked farms within a 50-mile radius. With the coming of the railroads, the grain was diverted to a larger metropolitan center. But the Tennant and Hoyt Company flour mill, established in 1901, has remained in Lake City under local management and ownership, taking advantage of the less congested transportation facilities and better working conditions of the smaller city. The wheat comes mainly from North Dakota, Montana, and northwest Minnesota. Being on the main line of a good railroad south of Minneapolis, they can actually get their shipments out on the day their cars are loaded. Actually, daily capacity is 4,000 100-pound bags of white flour and 400 bags of whole wheat flour. The average storage capacity on wheat is 400,000 bushels. This quantity is frequently augmented by wheat purchased and held in storage in Minneapolis or Duluth. The railroad cars hold 121,000 pounds of wheat. Tennant and Hoyt has a concrete wheat house, 226 feet high, dust controlled, with 30 single car load bins which enable them to hold each car of wheat after it's unloaded. The wheat is unloaded from the boxcars in which it is shipped and automatically conveyed through a wheat house, finally into storage tanks. The entolators, by centrifugal force, kill any bugs or larvae in the wheat, explode any eggs, and eliminate infestation. Clean, dust-free wheat then enters the first of 5 milling operations, which will gradually break the hard grains into fine white flour. Grain passes between steel rollers and then cracked into smaller and smaller particles. At each stage of the milling, the flow of the grain may be examined to ensure that each mill is properly functioning and that no extraneous particles has been allowed to slip past the aspirators. After the flour is milled, it goes through a rebolter, which is a sifting machine made up on extremely fine silk bolting cloths to finally eliminate any foreign matter. They have found that new high-speed sifters do a better job in milling, and they eliminate a source of infestation. The laboratory bakes up samples of flour and runs a complete test on each car of flour milled. The mill has the latest packing equipment on which flour can be packed in both textile and paper bags. After the flour is packed, the bags go on a conveyor belt, which automatically conveys them into boxcars, eliminating expensive hand trucking. On the conveyor belt, the bags go through a bag flattener, which flattens them and makes them easier to handle in piles. This keeps the flour stacked orderly in boxcars. Consequently, the cars can stand rough handling in transit. There must be very careful handling of the flour sacks in the boxcars to prevent damage or breakage to the flour. Bad handling could cost a lot of money and a lot of time. The shores of Lake Pepin, the fishing and boating opportunities have made this an ideal spot for a Boy Scout camp. Lake Camp is located 1.5 miles north of Lake City on Highway 61. Here the boys from 7 counties enjoy outings under the supervision of the camp staff. The camp covers 285 acres of shoreland on Rest Island, former site of a fox farm donated to the Scouts. Here are the boys of Troop 78 of Mazeppa, Minnesota, under guidance of Acting Scoutmaster George Meyer. Trained in all essentials of camping out, preparing and maintaining tents, boys actually sleep in those things, the boys help to keep the area neat and clean. In this scene, they are planning for the day's activity. The food is prepared at the central kitchen by the staff members. Cooking by the boys only on off-camp field trips. The day might include many Scout activities, including woodsmanship and crafts. A popular spot in camp is the Mesquite shooting range. Boys are taught safe methods of handling firearms and given practice in firing. The boys use .22 caliber rifles with birdshot cartridges. Training in the proper use of firearms will prevent careless mishaps. Practice is all done on the skeet range, no hunting being permitted on campgrounds. Some of the boys develop an amazing accuracy with .22 caliber rifles. Most of them show